Welcome back to Season Dose. Quick chat in the Cadillac. My name is SG. I like to explore the simplicity of complexity. If you didn't know, this is my show where I break it down for you both real and quick. Both of them. Season 2 is now well underway. And for those of you who's too lazy to scroll through all the TikToks to find the full episodes, they're all nice and organized on my YouTube by episode number, name, season, and title. Okay, so go ahead and go check them out. They're all organized. They'll get your life right. SG space Bubba space K. That's my YouTube. Check that shit out, bitch. Today's topic is going to be about the precipice. The precipice. Okay, and the title's going to be right here. It's not recipe. It's not P recipe. For those of you who don't know the word precipice, that means very close to the top. Very almost at the peak. If y'all could see the mountains are covered by clouds, and that's today's message. I'm going to tell you why. Because I want you to know what it feels like to be at the precipice, where you're almost there. You're just about to break through. And what that really feels like so that you don't fuck it up. Now, there's a lot of people out here working towards something. And if you're working towards something, I say, bravo, beautiful. I love that for you. Continue to do so. However, you got to know what your environment is so you can know what stage you're in right now. You got to be able to reflect on that so you can analyze and do all that cool big Scrabble point word shit, analysis. So when you're climbing up this figurative mountain, right? You're climbing up this figurative mountain. You see all the trees and the brush at the very bottom. It's massive in front of you. And every step you get a little closer and closer to the peak. And eventually you hit a step where the trees start to disappear. And the reason the trees start to disappear is because they can't survive at that high altitude no more. You done climb too high for all the trees. They start thinning out slowly. Shit gets thinner. Just like in real life, it'll be a lot less people around you the closer you get to the top. Because some people just can't survive at that altitude. Holla at your boy. I don't know why my voice just got chopped and screwed right there, but essentially the message does not change. So as you're going closer to the top, you see the greenery and the vegetation and the people and folks and systems around you start to fall away to the past in the rearview mirror. And if you're doing it right, you're not really checking the rearview mirror like that unless you're thinking about it in your head. Like, oh, I remember I passed this tree before. Now you realize you're going in a circle, so you could change direction to keep going where you're supposed to go. All that aside, you get to the point where it hits timberline, what they call timberline. There's no more trees. It's just you and your mountain, you and the peak. And right at that level is a layer of clouds. At least today, there's a layer of clouds right at timberline. And that's kind of what the precipice feels like. Because when you're right there, it's often very difficult for you to see just how far you've come. The fog is around you. And the fog acts as a wall. It acts as a gateway. The fog is a gatekeeper. The point, the intention, the existence of the fog, the purpose behind it is to see who's really about this shit and who's gonna fold. Because think about it, the instant validation that you may receive from knowing, oh shit, the peak is 10 steps away is enough for people who actually don't deserve to get to the peak but just somehow ended up that far up to, pretty much take the rest of the journey and feel like they're validated. But I would argue, and so would time, nature, and the entire existence of humanity, we would all argue that in order for you to truly get to that mountaintop, in order for you to truly hit the peak that you're trying to reach at this point in time, in order for you to get there, you need to get there with faith. You need to get there with trust. You got to keep putting one foot forward. So when you finally get to the point where you can no longer even tell if you're getting closer or further away, when you get to the point where you're like, shit, I done came this far, but I can't see shit. It's fog all around me. Things is getting a little bit blurry. That's because there's a new landscape being painted. All right, above that fog is the peak, but you got to learn how to trust that. So you might feel a little bit cloudy. You might feel a little bit like, damn, it's a lot of shit going on. It's a lot of noise around me. These clouds around me, they blocking my vision a little bit. They blocking my ability to tell what's right in front of me. And that's because you got to step into that blind faith to cross timberline. And when you cross timberline, you could get to the peak. I hope this metaphor is kind of making sense. Essentially, it's like the last step before you get to the peak, before you reach the top. That's the last step, is getting through the fog. The fog is there to tell you, look, you're going to have to keep walking, because when you get here, you don't know what's on the other side. It may be a whole new mountain for you to climb. You might have reached the peak of this one, but it may be a whole new landscape for you to enjoy. It might be downhill after this point. Shit, you might take one step and fall into a river, but you'll never know unless you take the step. So it's a real trust. It's like a trust fall. It's a real test of faith, a real test of trust. Is you really about the mission, or is you gonna quit just because you can't clearly see where exactly it is the top is at? And this is where it gets tricky, because you can argue that the risk of that not being the top, or you taking one step and falling into a cliff that you couldn't see, or a gorge or a valley or something like that you couldn't see, and crashing down and dying. You could argue that on the other side of the fog is a wild grizzly bear ready to rip you up to shreds. You might be right. But then you wouldn't really be trusting the process now, would you? And at that point, it would be somewhat fair to say, at least in my belief, that you may never deserve to actually get to the peak. Sometimes you do got to take a step in blind faith. Sometimes you do got to take that leap of faith and fucking just do it. I've talked about that before, but this is why the precipice feels different than any other step in the journey. It's the true test of your worth. It's the true test of your might. It's the sword and the stone. You think anyone who walks up to the sword and the stone in the mythological story says, I know for a fact I'm going to pull this bitch out the stone? Not anyone smart. Okay, because all the other people who tried to pull it out the stone, they couldn't pull that bitch out the stone. But the one person who walked up just to pull the sword, and nothing more, pure heart, just took the step, blind faith, and boom, the sword came out. What the fuck? Everyone around was like, look, that little scrawny ass nigga pulled the sword out the stone. Exactly, and you gotta be the scrawny nigga pulling the sword out the stone. Man, woman, child, anywhere in between, doesn't matter. That blind step, that leap of faith, that's gonna take you to the next level, especially when you're right near the top. Now, if you're jumping blind into you don't have to blind yourself on purpose, right? Blinding yourself on purpose is different from pursuing something, getting so far along that you reach the precipice. You can feel it in your bones that you're close. You know for a fact you've been watching the peak get closer every single time, and you just happen to cross into the fog. Now you got to question yourself. This is the big question. Okay, can I trust all the work that I put in? Can I trust all the progress that I've made, despite the fact that I can no longer immediately view my progress, immediately compare where I was to where I'm at now, immediately validate why it is I'm on this journey? It's because you're fucking close. Now, you could use a lot of justifications as to why that's the way things are. My argument is you don't deserve it unless you can take that final step without knowing if it's going to take you there or not. But the truth is this, okay? Think about it like this. And don't ask me why it's so cruel, okay? The world is a cruel place, okay? I don't have any justification to tell you, like, listen, the reason that you got to take the last step blind is because, it's only fair. It's not really fair. I mean, it's an accurate assessment of whether you really trust in yourself, whether you really believe in yourself to the level that you could say, even though this is the final step and this could all be a mirage, I'm going to fucking take the final step and we're going to cross that line. I mean, that's going to tell you whatever's on the other side, that was yours from the beginning to have. Because even at the moment where you've done the most work, you put in the most sweat equity, you put in the most time, the most energy, the most effort, and everything that you've done should have led you to a clear direction. And at some point, you cross into that fog and say, shit, I can't even see the top no more. Does that mean I'm at the top? Does that mean I fell back down in the bottom? Have I been running in circles in this whole time? I have no clue. That final step it requires a lot, and that's why you deserve it more. It is cruel. The world is a cruel fucking place. Life is a cruel fucking mistress. We all know that. Think about all the pain that you experienced. That shit was that would be described as cruel if you ask me. But all the strongest, in the words of SG Bubba K, all the strongest iron has been forged inside of fire. And as painful as it may be, it's equally, if not more true than it is painful. So when you get to that precipice, don't fuck it up. When you walk to Timberline and you see the clouds up on the mountaintop, don't fuck it up. Keep walking. Get there. It's just a distraction. It's just noise. It's that last chance, a temptation to turn around and fucking quit and give up and turn back. Don't give in. Don't turn back. Don't give up. That's what a bitch would do. And you're not a bitch. I don't care if you're a man, woman, child, or anywhere in between. You're not a bitch. You're trying to accomplish something, go fucking get it. It's yours to get in the first place. So you might as well just say, fuck it. I'ma do it. Peace.